Hello and welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to be talking about Zada, the Hedron grinder. Now, my advice is if someone sits down with Zada the Hedron grinder at your table, they die first. They need to because this is an explosive deck. Now, it's a 4 mana 3/3 goblin ally, which the ally portion I ignored for this deck. I mean, it's just incidentally an ally. But the beautiful part is, whenever you target Zada with an instant or sorcery, you get to copy that spell and target every other creature you control. So the steps are pretty easy. Play goblins, because I kind of built it a little tribal themed because some of the cards I really needed to. Play goblins, including Zada. Target Zada. Win game. Swing and win game. Now, it does kind of suck because Pillow Fort decks will shut you down. I am super focused. I don't have a Chaos Warp, only because I don't have one. I mean, don't have another one, but this is definitely the deck that will, because a propaganda man will sure shut you down. Anyway, here is. We'll go through this. Oh, by the way, I changed the playmat. I realized that we were on Star Trek for like, I don't know, 100 videos or so I figured we'd go to the Reaper King. Just something different in the background. The one card that doesn't fall into any four of those categories is Spellbook. It does cost 0. That matters. I'll show you why later. But the no max hand size does matter as well. Just in case. Just in case. Because there's a possibility. The idea is to swing and kill the table in one turn. However, yeah, if it takes more than one, the spellbook might come in handy. Now, as far as actual good old-fashioned goblins, we've got our nice and faithful Goblin King. The +1/+1 is the reason why he's in here. He is a goblin. Now, this is an old printing, obviously, 8th edition. But he says other goblins. But anyway, Mountain Walk incidental may actually come in helpful. The Chieftain. I'm sorry, a lot of these cards are foil because most of them are common. I realize this one's not, but also +1/+1 and haste. Haste matters as well because you're going to be exponentially creating goblins. The Goblin War Chief. Your goblins are cheaper and they have haste, so that's a real thing. The Pile Driver. He gets +2 for each other attacking goblin. That Pro Blue is nothing to sneeze at as well. Now, Siege Gang Commander brings his boys to the yard in the manner of 3 tokens. Now, those tokens, obviously, we want it, as many goblins as possible. And for 5 mana, I believe 5 mana is the top of the curve in this deck. I think there's a couple of 5 mana cards, but I don't see that as being a real problem. But for the low price of 5 mana here, you get 4 goblins. You get him +3 1/1s. And that's enough. Even if you're just dead drawn and this is the Siege Gang Commander is all you get, sometimes that's enough. It'll definitely be enough for one player. Now, I'm going to go through these really quick. The cards that put tokens into play. This is 1 card for 2 cards. So this is card advantage or virtual advantage or whatever you want to call it. You're casting 1 card, you're getting 2 goblins. The same with Krinko's Command. Mog Alarm. And Mog Alarm actually gives you another way to pay for it by sacking a mountain if you get to that critical mass point. We have Goblin Rally, another 5 cost, but it does give you 4. We have Hordling Outburst. gives you 3. The Beetleback Chief is him +2. Krinko, just because, if the game does go longer than you think, Krinko can, man, he can make it huge, huge difference. Now, I have the Skirt Prospector because with all those tokens, you might need some mana. Speaking of mana, let's look at our, I don't want to say mana base, but the addition to the lands. Now, we're going to start off with the free spells of the Lotus Petal and the Spirit Guide. Welcome to our only non-goblin creature. I don't foresee us casting this. And of course, we go up the chain to, I would love to have the 1 for 2 from Cold Snap, but I'm evidently out there, all decks, but I don't think that's a big deal. I've got all the rest. The Desperate Ritual, the Pyretic Ritual, into the Seething Song. We have Inner Fire. I know what you're thinking about Inner Fire. We'll get to that because it looks like we're just playing out our hand and we're just dumping it and we're done. Mana Geyser is going to, we're getting really close to the camera here. Let's pull back a little bit. Mana Geyser, to make, I almost said to make mana, to make profit off of Mana Geyser, obviously there has to be more than 5 tap lands your opponents control. This is a late game card, but in the early games, if it's a big enough game, if it's turn 3 and everybody's tapped out, you could potentially get 12 mana or more if somebody's like, jamming a Zeus or whatever. Battle Hymn. For each one of your goblins, you get a mana, which is kind of a double-costed version of the Brightstone Ritual. Now, I do have a random Reverberate just because it is whatever card you need it to be. Most of this deck is instants and sorceries. From here on out, they're all instants and sorceries. So, Reverberate is whatever you need it to be, so it is super utility. And, of course, with all of those mana rocks, I'm running Empty the Warrens. It's not a full Storm package. I'm not running the 1 damage one, but the Empty the Warrens is pretty big. Now, I'm counting these as token creators too, because if you target Zada with it, now granted you lose the Zada token because of the legend rule, but you target Zada with it, and then you target your entire team. So Heat Shimmer doubles your team. Twin Flame, you're never going to pay the Strive cost. We're not looking at that. Ignore the first line. Choose Zada. You target Zada, and then you put a copy of it in. It also doubles your team. So, and the beautiful part is, with both of those cards, they have haste. So they are ready to swing. So now, we've invested some mana. We've invested some cards. How are we going to keep drawing cards, though? We have cards like Stun. Yes, we are going to target Zada with Stun because we don't care. She ain't trying to block. She's just swinging in there. But here's the beautiful part. If you've got Zada plus 5 goblins, you just spent 2 mana to draw 5 cards. The more goblins you have, the more cards you draw, because Zada's going to copy this spell for each creature you control, and it targets it. So, yeah, who cares they can't block? You're probably swinging that turn anyway. You're playing this card because it's 2 mana, draw a bajillion cards. Now, Accelerate is that's an actual useful ability, gaining haste, and, of course, drawing a card. So, 2 mana, your team gains haste, you're drawing a bunch of cards. Boiling Blood. Oh, look, the creature has to attack this turn. draw a billion cards. Renegade Tactics, the same thing. It's target creature can't block. You know, you guys can't block and you draw a bunch of cards. But this is 1 mana. Now, granted, it is a sorcery, so you've got to do it kind of. I've got this doesn't draw your card, but double strike. That's something to be reckoned with. Crimson Wisp. Yeah, I'm going to make all my goblins red. Okay, whatever. Haste. That's beautiful. And drawing cards. For 1 mana, you're drawing a ton of cards because you've got a ton of goblin tokens out there. Now, Expedite. Haste and drawing a bunch of cards. Chaotic Strike. Now, let's read this because this can be tricky. You got to play it during combat after blockers are declared. You target Zada immediately, right then, you get the copies. And you flip coins. You flip a coin for each copy. So you're flipping a coin for each creature you control at that point. And then if you win the flip, that creature gets +1. And, of course, we're drawing a card. Now, Zap is... Zap is in there because we need the draw card ability. We're dealing with a 99 card deck. You're going to draw 7 in your opening hand. So you've got, 92 cards left? So I think I've got, 9 or 10 card draw spells. Typically, you would like to have one of those in your opening hand, and that's why I'm playing with Zap. That is why the plus toughness cards are super, super valuable. So they can survive. So your team can survive a Zap or a Rile, which is essentially the same thing. But Rile makes them gain trample. Thank you, Ixalan. And then to round out the card draw package, Panic. Panic is another one of those. Wow, it's so old. Autofocus don't even care. Come on, guy. The problem here is you don't draw the card until the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, which is fine if you don't have your spell book and you didn't actually win that turn. You get to draw the cards after your discard step anyway, so you got them in hand for your next turn. Granted, you're probably target number 1 at the table. Okay, so let's look at how we're pumping our team, or Zada. Keep in mind, all of these we're going to target Zada with. We've got Seething Anger, +3/+0. We're never buying it back. That's not the object. Well, I say never. There may be corner case scenarios where you're able to produce a gajillion mana, and this is the only card you got, and you can play it 3 or 4 times. Maybe. But I don't see it. I see this as a, lightning boltish kind of card. 1 mana, 3 damage. We have Rush of Adrenaline. I've got these organized by converted mana cost. Rush of Adrenaline, +2/+1, and Trample. Now, Trample's a beautiful thing, too. I tried to use as many cards that gave Trample and First Strike as possible, because First Strike and Trample can get you in there for the win. It's just simply a math equation at that time. How much power versus their toughness versus their life. And Titan Strength, +3/+1. Now the +1 helps, and look at how many scries you get. You get scries equal to your number of dudes, so that can set you up there. Now, granted, if you find something you like, you're just gonna look at it a whole bunch of times. But we have Fever Charm. Charms are good; they have options, especially this one. You could choose the haste or the +2. Now I have played with this card since Onslaught, not all the time, but I have never, ever, ever chosen to deal 3 damage to a wizard. Not saying it's not possible. Wizards are a thing, especially now since we got that Wizard Tribe deck prefab in a box. We got the Red Giant Growth. I mean, why not? This is the top of the line right here. This is as good as it gets. +3/+3. Yeah. Borrowed Hostility. Here again, we're probably not going to escalate it. Corner case, you may, like I said, but it's probably just the +3. Dyna Charge, you never ever want to overload it because then it doesn't target Zada. You just want to give it +2. And the idea is just to do a barrage of spells, and then Zada is, Zada and your team are swinging, and they're all 10 double striking first, trampling craziness. Kindled Fury, +1/+0 in first strike. +1 is not that awesome, but it does give the first strike, so I don't know. As something comes out a little better, Kindle may be the first to go. Of course, we have our Brute Strength. +3, 1, and Trample. That's what we're looking for. We got a Thunder Strike. +2 in first strike. Sure Strike. +3 in first strike. Invigorated Rampage. +40. We're never going to choose the second one. Never, never, never. Distemper of the Blood. +2 in Trample. Uncanny Speed. +3 in Haste. Fist of the Anvil. +4. Now we're talking. It don't take too many of them. Teamer Battle Rage. Double strike again. Now, more than likely you've played something else this turn, so you're gonna have the ferocious kicked in. So getting the trample for the free is pretty neat. Here's the other charm, the Fury charm. Planar Chaos. Yeah. +1 in trample. We have a Fit of Rage. +3/+3 in first strike. Now, the downside here is, of course, it is sorcery speed. That is a thing to watch out for, is what do you need to play before the attack and what can you play during the attack? Because I tried to balance it out. Obviously, you want to use as many instances as possible, but the way the mana pool empties and the way that you're giving away information, so it's very possible that you expend all these cards and somebody goes, meh, fog. So that's a bad time, by the way. Screaming Fury at 3 mana. The last 5 cards here are all 3 mana, and they're all, I think, is pretty epic as Screaming Fury. I mean, +5 and haste is outstanding for your team. Slaughter Cry, 3/0 first strike. Fatal Frenzy. Now, this would be the last card you play, obviously, because it just doubles their power. It doubles their power. It does kill them all at the end of turn. So this is your alpha swing coup de grace here. It's just, this is what you're going to be doing the last spell you play, and just win the game with it, because it grants them trample, and they're already big, so this is going to make them ridiculously big. Downhill Charge, and it has an out as far as an alternate play cost. Now, here again, most of the time this is a pretty decently quick deck, but still, even if you've got just 3 or 4, that's not bad, giving them 3 or 4 pluses. Now, Soul's Fire is for that guy that does fog, because then you just target, they fog, okay, no combat damage was dealt, I'm going to Soul's Fire Zada, and I'll just direct damage you all out of the game. Well, that is what I have got for Zada. I know it's a pretty common build. There's not a whole lot of different ways to build Zada. There really isn't. And there's quite a few things that I've seen some a lot more instant sorcery card builds where instant sorceries cost less, or gutter snipe triggers, or young pyromancer triggers, or whatever. But I chose to go with straight old goblins. Gob gobs. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.